Hello, and welcome to math class. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you're joining us for the first time, my name is Mr. Holman. I'm a math teacher here to show you some new ways that you can look at math to help you further your understanding of some pretty tough concepts. Today's concept will be division at a third grade level, which means we will not be using the long division algorithm that you may be familiar with. Instead, today we'll be using a picture to further our understanding of this concept that really is all about sharing equally. So, if you're ready, grab a pencil, paper, and an eraser, and get yourself ready to do some math. Remember, you can pause and rewind this video so that you can review any segments at your own leisure. Alright, let's get started. In this case, we have a problem with Darren, who uses 4 pieces of wood to make one picture frame. The question is, how many frames can he make with 72 pieces of wood? So, the first thing we're going to do here is create an answer statement. My answer statement, in this case, is going to be answering the question, how many frames can he make with 72 pieces of wood? So now here we have our answer statement. He can make blank frames. We don't know how many yet, but we're going to see if some of these clues can help us out. So the first clue we have here is that Darren uses 4 pieces of wood to make one picture frame. So I could turn that into a clue by saying 4 pieces per frame. Per frame is the short and quick way of saying one picture frame. So now I've turned a very long sentence into a very quick clue. And now I'm looking for my next clue. It says, how many frames can he make with 72 pieces of wood? Well, that is the question, but there's a clue in there. It's telling us something about how many pieces of wood he has to work with. And in this case, he has 72 pieces of wood. And then it's to the question which we've already answered. He can make blank frames. So we're going to find out. But now we're going to use these clues to make a model. And this model is going to help us solve this problem for Darren. So let's take a look here. We have 72 pieces of wood to work with, and that's going to be our total. So I'm going to make a big rectangle to represent 72 pieces of wood. So I'm making 4 dots for my rectangle, and then I'm going to connect the dots. This is sort of the fun part. Alright, always practice making those rectangles as straight as you can, but unless you're using a ruler or something, it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to do the job for us. And this rectangle here is showing us the total amount of wood, which is 72 pieces. Alright, I'm just going to write 72 in there to remind us of that value. And now I need to figure out how many frames we can make with 72 pieces of wood. Well, I'm not familiar with 72 being in a fact family with 4, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to use 10. I'm going to start with 10 pieces because I know something about 10 and 4. I know 10 times 4 is 40. And so I'm going to use that to get myself started in solving this problem. So right underneath my total here, I'm going to begin another rectangle. So I'm going to make a dot. I'm going to connect my dot there. Okay? And now I'm going to bring this rectangle out. It's not going to be as long as the one on top because it's less. This one is worth 40. And we've decided that 40 is 4 times 10. So what this means is that we can make 10 frames out of 40 pieces of wood. And that's actually going to make this number a little smaller for us over here to work with. So now, let's think about this. What kind of math can we do to figure out what would be left here in this place if we already used 40 pieces of wood? If you said subtraction, that's absolutely right. So let's go ahead and do that. 72 minus 40. Okay? 2 minus 0 is 2, and 7 minus 4 is 3. So over here, let me make my little dot there, we already know how much is going to be left over here. 32 pieces left. So now, all we need to do is figure out, since we already know we need 4 pieces for each of those frames, how many more frames can we make with the 32 pieces we have left? And here we have a fact. So think about your 4s. You know, I'm having an issue remembering mine. So I have a little strategy I like to use called the T-chart. It's a long T. 1 times 4 is 4. And then we have 2 times 4 is plus 4. That's 8. And we have 3 times 4, and that's going to be 12. And then we have 4 times 4, and that's going to be 16. All right, 4 times 5 is going to be 20. Okay, we're not to 32 yet. 4 times 6 is going to be 24. 4 times 7, 28. And then 4 times 8, let me see, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And there we have it. So here we see that 4 times 8 is going to be 32. So now we know how many frames we can make with 32 pieces of wood, and we know how many frames we could make with 40 pieces of wood. Well, how many frames is that altogether? Once again, we have to do another bit of math. If you said addition, you nailed it. So what is 10 plus 8? And I know most of us can do that one mentally. Of course, it's 18. And now we know how many frames Darren could make with 72 pieces of wood. He could make 18 frames. Now, how did we do all that without doing any long division? Well, let's review what we did. First, we read our problem. Then we created an answer statement. Then we recorded clues from our problem. After we organized and recorded our clues by writing them here, we were able to use those clues to create a model. In this model, we found the total. Then we used 10 to help us break down that total into compatible numbers, numbers that were in the fact family of 4. After we were able to complete those fact families for 4, we were left with numbers that we can add together that represented the number of frames. And by adding them, we found the total number of frames, which ended up being 18. We then took that number 18 and we plugged it right back into our answer statement to make it a complete answer. He can make 18 frames. I hope this model helped you today, and I hope you're out there challenging yourself to solve word problems. They're not always so easy, but having a strategy is always going to be your best approach. I hope today's model is helpful for you when you have to approach division without using an algorithm. Catch you next time.